And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Market Reflection, Tuesday, the last day in February. Tomorrow is March 1st. Hard to believe we've almost made it through this winter. I, for one, am very thankful. I think it's been a very easy to deal with winter. I don't know about where you are, but here in Chicago, I think it was pretty easy to deal with. Thank you again. Take a deep breath. The trading day is over. Hopefully you had a good trading day. Some decent opportunities. We see our equities struggle to hold the rally early on today, actually closing a little bit lower. The S&P is unofficially down 18 points, approximately 0.4%. NASDAQ down 22 points, approximately 0.2%. Really, the loser was the Dow. Dow down about 250 points at the end of the day, 0.7%. So the Dow kind of leading everything lower. The blue chips weakest of the bunch. Crude oil was higher this morning. Really just kind of maintained that price. It was a rip in the overnight. It was up about $1.37, 1.8%, finishing the day at 77.05. Nothing really happened as far as talking Feds, any news. It was pretty quiet trading day, I thought. U.S. consumer confidence did drop well below the forecast. The forecast was 108.5. The actual came out at 102.9. New month tomorrow. The new Chicago Fed head, Goolsbee, did have a speech today, but did not comment on economic policy outlook in his first speech. And that's really about it. We're kind of looking forward to tomorrow. We know that we've got the ISM Manufacturing Index, which may be somewhat impactful. The Institute of Supply Management coming out with their number tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central, at 8:45 before that, the PMI manufacturing final due out. Probably not as impactful. And then, of course, we've got the EIA Petroleum Status Report due at the usual time, 9:30 tomorrow. So as we just take a look at what happened today, I'm already focusing on what I'm thinking about for tomorrow. We did have a couple of things happen today. Gold, as we have been watching this downside auction begin to suffer. I gave it a C minus as far as its success in continuing to auction lower. Got a nice pullback to the upside today. Maybe I should have given it a D minus, but we have to see what we see and look at the way we look at things. And we've got a couple of possible late spikes here. Looks like maybe in the S&Ps we've got a bit of a late spike. We're going to take a look at that shortly in the charts. As always, make sure you hit the lucky like button. Share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and love are always welcome on the Market Reflection, as well as make sure you hit the subscribe button for our YouTube channel so you get notifications when we do go live. I thought it was a very good Coach's Playbook today. The founder of Top Step, Michael Patak, joined us. Now, we had a pretty good conversation about when to take time off during the day and when to take time off overall. We had just taken a little bit of time off. We thought that would be a good subject for us. If you watched it, hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, if you haven't watched it, check it out. I think it's some pretty good stuff. And made Coke money this morning. We lost a little bit of money. I made the most of that back after the broadcast. We'll be extending some of those broadcasts, it sounds like, relatively soon. So we'll have more of an opportunity to see trades as they play out. And I had a decent trading day myself. I didn't do a lot, and I'm kind of glad. I don't think that there was anything that big to do. Got a couple of decent moves in the S&Ps, and that's it. Didn't trade anything else. Didn't trade crude. Didn't trade gold, although I should have been a little bit more peaked on watching for what did happen in gold today. I'm kind of bummed that I missed that, but I'm sure that I've missed better trades than that, and I'm going to probably miss better trades than that moving forward. Just have to kind of get used to that idea. Find the opportunities you find, take advantage of them, and then just move on. So today, what is today? Today is Tuesday. 3 more days this week. And again, I can't believe it's March already. The 3rd month of the year. This years just seem to continue to fly by. I don't know about you, but it seems the older I get, the faster time moves, and it's really kind of unfair. Remember being a kid and being off of school for summer, and summer just lasting forever and ever and ever. The school year lasting forever and ever and ever. And it seems like the older we get, the less time we have, of course, but it seems like time speeds up. And I found a good way to slow time down, and that's have risk on. Seems every time I have a trade on, and this is nothing new, I've been doing this for plus 30 years. Every time I have a trade on, it does seem that time slows down. So you have to kind of resolve yourself to the fact that you've got risk on. There's a little bit of duress, perhaps. You're concerned about the outcome of the trade. Of course, nobody wants losses, but that's just part of the game. You want the market to go right to your profit target right away, and it just doesn't work that way. And I find if I'm staring at the dome and just, trying to push the market with my eyes, it really slows time down. These markets have their own time, and we have to remember we are trading in their time, not in our time. Sometimes markets, when they're changing direction, take some time. I've heard it said like trying to turn a battleship around in port. It just takes time. So be patient with your trades, and be patient, of course, also with yourself. Good afternoon, everyone. George. Lacey, I think, is laying pretty much right where she was this morning when we said good morning to Lacey. Rooster, hope you had a good trading day today as well. Dan Trader, definitely one of those days. Hope things are going well, Dan. Anissa, always a pleasure to see you. And Kyle, thank you all for popping in and saying hello. We're going to kind of go right through the charts here. We'll start kind of top left and go in clockwise fashion through these charts, and we'll take a look at what we're seeing and maybe start to think about what things are looking like for tomorrow. So this is the daily in crude. When you see the 30-minute chart in the S&Ps, it almost looks the same. This is the daily. The 30 in the S&Ps looks a lot the same, kind of very rotational today. Anyways, we're still range-bound in crude oil here. It doesn't seem like we're going anywhere for a while, although we did see pretty decent push to the upside today. Last week's high kind of topped off the activity and before the open, and then we really just kind of ranged. So we're seeing still short time frame levels being respected. Take a look at the 30-minute chart. We opened with a gap. We have all this overnight inventory to the long side. We did check to this naked point of control. I'm going to go ahead and turn this, stop that right there. And we know we've already checked that one. But where did we go to? We went to a naked point of control and last week's high, rejected above it, turned back to the downside. We didn't close the gap. I think that's probably one of the more important features of the charts here today is the fact that we had all this overnight inventory to the long side, and we could not even get close to closing this gap. I think that there's possibly an inherent strength in what happened today. So we rotate and we finish the day near the low. No late spike. Here's the TPO chart. Weak high and a weak low. IB, neither extreme. We extended below, we extended above just by a tick, but we didn't go anywhere. This is a very weak high. This is a weak low. The high on this is a little bit weaker. The market took that one little step above the previous high, one tick. Meant it was willing to take that step. We couldn't take that step below here. Now, of course, we may have traded below that since, but both ends of today's profile are weak. It's a relatively thick profile. We used up a lot of ability to facilitate trade today. We're looking for this market to move one way or another tomorrow. If we open below the point of control from today, I'll look for repair to come down to recheck this prominent naked point of control down here. Maybe we'll just range here through the session tomorrow. Opening above with this poor high, perhaps this market may continue to the upside. We will review all of this information tomorrow morning on the market prep. Take a look at the S&Ps. All right, so wait a second. Here's that monthly chart. Don't freeze up on me now. Well, here it is. Here's the higher lows. October, November, December, January, February. This is a fact now. My sometimes this T4 does tend to freeze. I'm going to get rid of this here in just a second. So we can check out the rest of the chart. So this is the February low. I really want the February low to hold it through March. We did not get a good push away from it today. Take a look at the 30-minute chart. So before this extension to the downside, which this comes here, before this extension to the downside, I thought this looked a lot like the crude oil chart. Boom, 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 range bound, range bound, range bound. Here's that February low, last week's low. Testing to this naked point of control after the close. We have set a late spike into the situation for tomorrow. Late spike. We opened, no real overnight inventory. We looked higher. We couldn't continue. We looked lower. We took out the overnight low. And here we are. Here's the TPO chart. Well, hello there. So here's our late spike. Base of the late spike. Remember this for tomorrow. 39.74 and a quarter, or 3/4. 39.74 and 3/4. Leaving the early balance and not being able to have time to accept price below this level is going to be important for us tomorrow. Not a very strong high, a weak low in the fact that we've put in a late spike. Not a very confident trading day. There's a couple of anomalies that have been rechecked a couple of times throughout the day. Normal variation day. Until the very end of the day, we had the low of the initial balance holding as the low of the regular trading hour session. How many range extensions did we have? One, two, three, 4 range extensions to the upside before this market gave up and started coming back to the downside. Our regular trading hour session, almost even with overnight. Also, not a very strong signal. NASDAQ. Yeah, we're not really going in clockwork fashion, if you will. So NASDAQ, I think, held up a little bit better. Obviously, the March of the February low. This is last week's low. Frozen gum wad. I've been talking about the monthly chart in the S&P is all week really. It's only Tuesday I get that, but since October we've been putting in higher lows. I want those higher lows to continue. I want us to be able to hold the February low, which is the last week's low. Okay, here's the 31st of January. So I want this to hold. That's just what I want. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. We also had a bunch of weak highs coming down to this level in the S&Ps, which indicates like shorter time frame traders, not investment grade traders pushing price lower. So if we do end up a little bit short down here, that could be the impetus to push us back up towards the upside. But 5 days now in range, 30-minute chart. No late spike. This will not be part of the late spike, or will it? We closed the day inside the range. We did not extend outside the range to close. So that's, I think, another kind of important thing. We had the lack of gap close yesterday, which I thought was important. Still rotational and inside the rotation for the last 5 sessions. Take a look at the TPO chart. So this is going to not show any late spike because this closes at 3 o'clock Central Time. That's when the cash close ends. So it still shows excess at the low, kind of a weaker high, not a very strong a high. Normal variation day. The lower extreme of the initial balance is the extreme low of the regular trading hour session. A much more normal day here in the NASDAQ. Well, take a look at gold. So this morning we were talking about the fact that we were giving the downside auction in gold a C-. We weren't seeing volume. We weren't seeing open interest coming in. It makes sense that the market pulled back. We didn't know what was going to happen today. It just makes sense that it did. Here's the 30-minute chart. All right, so the market opens, tests last week's low, can't hold below it, and boy, they really just bought into this thing big time. I think we were way too short in the hold down here. You could be right, Frozen Gumwad. The fact that we've got higher lows for the last 4 months could be somewhat creating a bear flag. That's why I think it's so important for the equities, for the S&Ps really, to be able to hold February's low. I don't want to accept down below that level. And that's for longer time frame, longer term investments, of course. It may provide opportunity as a day trader. I'm okay with that. But here's that gold move to the upside, closing basically pretty close to the high of the day. Pretty solid trend day all the way up. Take a look at the TPO chart. A little bit of balance here. Continuation. 5 TPOs wide in gold. Relatively wide for a trend day, but more of a double distribution trend day than a straight trend day, and relative weak high at the high here, right in the middle of this little gap that we've left. Take a look at the euro, which did not, I don't think, perform nearly as well as gold did. We still have the dollar really kind of holding up well. So here's the euro overlapping to higher range today. That's interesting. Overnight inventory was relatively long. Overnight inventory adjusting and pulling price back lower. It made sense because the dollar remained strong for the better part of the session today. Here's the TPO chart. Late spike. Another late spike. Open, push higher, close lower. If that dollar continues to be strong, I think we may see some more continuation to the downside in the euro. Look at how these prominent points of control are always tested. Just boom, boom, right down to it, and then back to the upside yesterday. Here's the 10-year. Range bound almost looks like the S&Ps, right? We come down here, we're holding in the range. We've got the last week's low, an important inflection level. Here's the 30. Excess low yesterday. We took that out. We still have an excess low today, still just kind of bouncing along last week's low. Let me take this out because this has now been checked. Boom, boom. Point of control checked here. Point of control checked here. Range bound, short time frame control. Range bound rules apply. Take a look at the TPO chart. So we had excess there. Open, we looked down below it. Had to come down and check this naked point of control, and as well as this one. We tested this one the other day. And here we are. Late spike to the upside. Looks like it. Base of the late spike, 111.05. 111 and 5/30. Look at the nat gas. Bullish piercing pattern down here at the low. Finding some continuation, holding last week's high as support, 30-minute chart. Opening short, pushing lower, unable to close this gap, not accepting below last week's high, continuation, and possible close above. Well, it didn't close above last week's high, but it's trying now. And another late spike. Base of the late spike in the natural gas, $2.71 approximately. Again, what's a late spike? Late spike is late in the day when there's a range extension that doesn't have time to show acceptance through time. Opening above a late spike marks acceptance of higher pricing, probability of price continuing to go higher. Opening inside the late spike, still friendly to the upside, not as strong. Opening below the base of the late spike, rejection of higher pricing, probability of price continuing to the downside. So we got to do our homework, and we're going to do our homework tomorrow morning as well. And I'll look forward to seeing you for the market prep. Gonna do my spreadsheet for open interest. Start taking a look at what that is telling us. Got a little bit of a hole in it because I wasn't here last week, so we just start over and go from there. And we're looking forward to another interesting trading day tomorrow. Interesting thing happened today in history. The chemical structure of DNA was discovered on this date in 1953. The double helix of DNA was discovered. Kind of interesting. 1986, the Major League Baseball commissioner suspends players in a drug scandal. Yikes. In 1983, I remember this. The final episode of MASH aired. If you were a fan of MASH, I think 77% of the television viewing audience watched it. It was huge. It was this biggest ever single TV show at that time. 1987, Gorbachev calls for a nuclear weapons treaty with the U.S., right? As far as music, 1957, today's Cindy Wilson's birthday. She was a singer and founding member of the B-52s. Today is Patsy Cline's birthday. If you've ever listened to Patsy Cline, I Fall to Pieces and Crazy. No, actually. Oh, no, it's not her birthday. This was her last television appearance before she died in a plane crash. Was on today. Today's Jason Aldean's birthday for you country music stars, country music fans. Led Zeppelin played in Copenhagen, but they had to use a different name today in 1970. They went as the Knobs after Eva von Zeppelin, a relative of the airship designer, threatened to sue them if the family name was used in Denmark. My goodness. Eddie Rabbitt crossed over to the pop chart with I Love a Rainy Night. I did not know this, but Eddie Rabbitt had written a song that Elvis Presley had a smash hit with, Kentucky Rain. I did not know that was written by Eddie Rabbitt. One other thing here I wanted to talk about. Paul Simon on this date won a Grammy Award for Best Pop Vocal Performance and Album of the Year at the 18th Annual Grammy Awards. In his acceptance speech, Simon told the audience, "I'd like to thank Stevie Wonder for not releasing an album this year." There's a little humility for you. All right, that's it for me. I am going to finish up my homework, have a grilled chicken grilled chicken salad for dinner tonight. Going to take the dog for a nice walk, and then I'm going to be rested and ready for another trading day tomorrow. This day in history, yes, Zach, that's exactly right. Almost said TPO. Yeah, we'll see everybody in the morning. Get some rest, and don't forget to say a prayer for peace. Blessings to you all. See you in the morning.